Well, hello, Francisco, and hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. How you doing, buddy?
Good, good. How about you?
It's a different market out there. I'm still wearing my sweatshirt from the last couple of days because it's Veterans Day week. I call it because Veterans Day is actually Friday, so that'll be tomorrow. And it's just trying to support myself and everybody else.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's good.
yeah,
Thank you and everybody else for your service.
oh, thank you. Because I'm talking on the radio this weekend about VA loans and how important it is to help vets and all that stuff. Because it's a great program. You helped me with a veteran before, and it's like one of the best programs. And
Yeah.
it's so easy, easy to get people in, qualifying the whole 9 yards. But speaking of that, we were talking before we came on. We were kind of talking about the market a little bit, and I think everybody's a little nervous still about what's going on because nobody really knows what's going on.
Right. And then I know there's also people that are, still waiting for the prices to drop even more and stuff. But
Right.
the inventory, it's just the inventory's still pretty low.
It's not even. I mean, I think this week someone was telling me we had 17 houses go on the market.
It's definitely, things are changing. And because of that, obviously since not so many people are shopping, even a lot of sellers are just reserved right now.
Well, they don't have to do anything unless they really have to do something.
Right.
Most sellers have 300 grand in equity at least, so they have 50 to 70% of equity, which is huge. That means they have such opportunities to do whatever they want to do.
Right. I think right now too, it's even like, I've been reaching out to a lot of my clients as well, and even, pitching to them like, hey, and I know not everybody's wanting to be a landlord or whatever, but, even then just pull out a HELOC or something, buy something else,
Right. I mean, I'm amazed how many people don't want to buy their house to live in, but investors are picking up everything they possibly can still. The build to rent market is through the roof. They're not stopping, where the builders to own have stopped. They're slowed down. They didn't want to sell, worry about building too many houses and losing on them. I just think people are afraid because we've never been here before.
Yeah, it's interesting. And the thing is too is, exactly like you said it, right now a lot of the people that I'm helping are typically investors or cash buyers, right? Because everybody's so scared of the 7%. Again, like we keep saying, that's the piece that can be manipulated.
Right. I mean, there's now a 3-2-1 buy down, right? It was a 2-1 buy down. Now it's a 3-2-1 buy down. And for most people to understand that all you're doing as a seller is putting money together to make the difference in the rate the first year, second year, third year, and then go to the normal rate. Well, by then you'll be refinanced out of it. And if any money's left in there, you get to use that towards principal. So
that's great. And that's, and it's another thing that I have been telling everybody too, is that, I mean, you realistically won't see the 7% rate if you do one of those,
right.
2-1s or 3-1s. Because already, I mean, and again, everything is always speculation here, he said, she said, whatever.
Right.
But what we do speculate, is that by the end of next year is probably when we'll hopefully, be around, the 4s or 4.5s again.
Well, we're supposed to, the first part of the year, be in the 5s, but you never know, first quarter, second quarter. But, if you do the buy down right now, you're not going to refinance next year. You're going to wait until that's even lower. You want to wait until it's in the 4s so you get the most benefit from it. Because right now, if you get a 7, you do a 3, you're at 4 right now. You'll be at 5 the following year. So the following year is when you'd want to do it, because when you're going to be matching that rate, so you can be lower to that and save some of that money.
Yeah, no, and that's a cool piece that you mentioned that I actually didn't know. So with the 2-1s and even the 3-2-1s, you could actually, use those if it's not, if you end up refinancing, you can use that to go towards principal.
Well, whatever's left. But remember, the difference between the last year and the second year is not as much as the first year.
Yeah,
right? That's the difference. So yeah, if there's $1,500 left in it, it doesn't just get absorbed and someone gets it. It's actually utilizes towards your principal when you go to pay it off. Yeah. So I mean, it's there, but so and that's just something that we can use, and we've done this many times. And a lot of people are like, "You guys are just trying to get us into homes." Right? I mean, they are, right? You're just trying to sell us a home. No, we're trying to help you get into a home so you can build personal wealth, because what's going to happen is next year, builders stop building, and then all of a sudden rates are going to drop. 5 million people are going to get back in the market, and guess what we're going to have? We're going to have 2021 again.
Some more chaos.
Yeah, it's extreme chaos, and that's what we're setting ourselves up for, is more houses not being built, which means less houses going to go towards that deficit we have. Yes, I know Las Vegas, Idaho, and some of those places are nervous right now because they're building houses, but it's not going to go away. It's not 2008, and that's what people are so stuck on, that 2008, because it was, not that long ago, right? It was 14 years ago. No. So it's still in people's minds. It's in everybody buying right now remembers their parents losing their house, right? And that's what happened in 2008. Bubble. No, we're not in a bubble. We don't have the inventory. We had 3.5 million houses on the market back then.
Right. It's not just that too, and then you also consider, the methods that were being practiced during that time, and that's when and that's where I tell everybody is, ask anybody who's purchased recently how, it's not super difficult, but it's not as easy as it was back then, right? Like,
you're talking about when we had the 100% financing, the 80-20, and you could do stated income on that.
Yeah, no
income, no asset,
and they were giving loans out, left and right, and at that, the adjustable loans and everything too that just were killing people.
Well, they were fixed rate that turned into an adjustable after a couple of years, and it wasn't so much that it turned into adjustable. It was that the margin was like 6%, right, on top of whatever the rate was. So if the current rate was 5, you had 6 or 11, and nobody could afford that payment at that time.
Right, and that's the thing. We talk about it, and it's like, even then, right? People couldn't afford those 11%. Like, we're not that high, and that's why even like when people are, a little bit reserved because of, the interest rates right now, it's still pretty doable. And that's one of the big things is I don't think that we would see anything drastically drop unless if it wasn't doable. But it is.
Right. But you got to remember, people are like, but so-and-so got a 2.75 and so-and-so got this, right? And if we never had those rates, but we were in a pandemic where they shut us down, shut all economy down. And that's what happens when rates will go like that. Well, if they were normally in 2008, we were in the high 6s, right? And that's FHA we're talking about. And people were refinancing and doing everything. And in the 2003 to 2006, before all the period of time, those rates were 6 and 7%.
Right.
But nobody said anything about it.
Yeah, no. And I was actually talking to one of my clients. He was explaining to me, his process. Very smart guy. He was also, explaining to me how when he purchased his house and he had like a 3% rate, he's like, man, even then you want better, right? Like you always want better. It's like you can't truthfully always like be, I guess, like satisfied. But it's like he said, he was like, but the fact that I got into the market, he was like, I could have, everybody telling me, wait. He took the initiative and he just said, I'm just going to buy. And it paid off for him. I can't even count on, man, I just so many people that even when I got into the business, right, back in like, was it 2018, they really weren't, they just kept waiting. Waiting and waiting and waiting, and that market was so much better. And that's the thing is, a lot of people say, well, maybe things will drop, but California's just always been on a steady rise. And the thing is the more you wait, the more you're just paying someone else's mortgage off, and it's just not doing any good for you. Those people that we were like, yeah, we could buy right now, but we're gonna wait because we anticipate a better market. Year by year, it's just been getting more difficult for them to achieve it.
They're going to wait forever. And that's the thing is that what they could do it now, and we're going to wait. Okay, well, the market's worth. Oh, okay, we're going to wait. Market's better. We're going to wait. And they're going to wait forever. They just won't make the decision. Those are people you can't help sometimes. So let's help the people we can help. And let's get them into homes so they understand that they're building personal wealth or home ownership. And that's how they can do more. They have to get in the game. Otherwise, if you're not in the game, you're never going to get in the game.
Right. That's why it's like always one of the biggest things that I've always said, and I practiced it myself. I feel like even like with me purchasing, my home and everything, again, like I said, I practiced what I preached, and I've always preached, as soon as you can buy your property, your home, whatever it is you want to do, whether you want to buy a duplex, live in one, rent the other one out, you want to buy, your regular single family house, whatever it is, as soon as you can do it, as soon as you can go to a lender and get qualified and you see that it's a payment that you can comfortably afford, you are ready. There is no need to wait. You're only disservicing yourself.
Right. Because nobody knows what's tomorrow going to bring, where the stuff is and where rates are going to be and where house values are going to be. Nobody really knows. I mean, we've never really been here before. Pandemic, this, now with the different things in the election and everything else that's happened, we haven't been here before. People could say, well, look back in the 70s and 80s. We can, but there's so many other things that can affect us right now. You can't worry about that. You need a place to live. So you have two choices: rent, and that's going to go up every year, or go buy, and then that payment's going to stay there or go down.
Yeah. And then, when you rent, you just have that big factor of uncertainty.
Right. They can tell you get out in 30 days.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that, it's happened. I mean, you and I helped out, some clients with that situation. I mean, imagine if they would have waited longer, that I feel like, that happening to them helped them be in a better situation.
Right. Because
they could have gone and looked for a place to rent, and they would have been paying, more. They would have gotten locked in onto something, and they never would have purchased. I spoke with them again the other time, and I mean, they're, for a while, and too, it was a struggle with them, and they didn't see the benefit. But now, speaking with them, even just a few months down the line, they're seeing the benefit.
Right.
And I mean, it's the craziest thing. Like, even with me, using like my bank statement program that I had used or whatever for my house, at that time, people were telling me, no, your rate is way too high. I ended up locking in with the 7.2. If I would have waited and bought right now, it would have been a 10 point something,
Right. But again, a lot of people buy with 10% all the time. The flippers always have been using 10% forever. Can you make the payment? Can you get enough rent to help you make that payment? Does it pencil out for you right now to get into that home? Because otherwise, I mean, people don't get it. It's however you can get in there and it makes sense to you. That's all that matters. Stop telling people what you do. There's things you don't talk about: childbearing, politics, religion, and stuff, and what you got for interest rate when you're talking to people. Those are not subjects you want to talk about.
No, and that's the thing is, and like looking back, I almost was discouraged. And the thing is like now it's like I see the benefit again, and it's one of those things where, I even factor in, like, for myself, it also helps for tax purposes, things like that,
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, like, yes, you're paying a little bit more, but you have to see the other benefits. And across the board, no matter what, the benefits will always outweigh the cons. Maybe you're not going to get your Starbucks or
Right.
some of those things, right? Which it's like, I mean, shoot, I would say probably a more lenient, laid back lifestyle. Now it's a little bit more tight in frame, but I like it. It's something that I think also some people need, and I know a lot of people don't also want to hear, like, I don't want to change my lifestyle for the sake of purchasing a house.
I don't want a commitment.
You know what? Yeah. And that's the thing is, realistically, it's, I mean, I think it's one of the best things I possibly could have done for myself. And that's why I keep reaching out to my clients and telling them, and that's the thing is, I mean, it's funny because I know some people, when they see realtors or lenders, they're like, oh, it's always a good time to buy, right? But truthfully, it is.
When you can do it and you're thinking about doing it, that is the best time to buy.
100%.
And the difference, like the program you did, is because of how you get paid. If you paid more in taxes and all this other stuff, then you might be able to do a different program, but they just paid more in taxes, right? What benefit is that helping you?
Exactly.
Right. That's just helping our government here to give it to other people or have a surplus. There's ways around everything, and you have to do what's best for you and your family, whatever that is. Don't worry what other people say at all. Do what's best for you. If you can justify what you're doing, then do it.
Yeah. And again, some people are going to look at you like you're crazy. Some people are going to try to say, no, not right now is not the time. But a lot of the people that are saying no, right now is not the time, are not homeowners.
Right.
I think and again, it really showed, like, even with that client I was mentioning earlier, where he was like, yeah, my family was saying no, they still haven't bought, they're not there. And it's funny because he's telling me that those are the ones discouraging him are the ones that haven't bought yet, you know, because again, I mean, I've even told it, you know, and I've talked about, you know, just even like some family that they would rather, you know, some of those things like the Starbucks and, you know, giving their kids other different things. But when you realize, you know, the future, right? What the future holds when you do begin these investments, you know, even 5 years later, I mean, again, even for me, myself, you know, with the property I purchased, like my plan is hopefully, you know, within the next year, pull out a HELOC myself and try to purchase something else, you know. And again, like I said, I know not everybody wants to be a landlord, but if, you know, even then, I mean, you can get property managers, whatever, but I just think, you know, real estate is just a really big key to financial freedom.
Yeah, that's where most people make their money, is through real estate, not through anything else. There's more people, multi-millionaires from real estate than from anything else. And so that's what people just don't understand. And you're right. You got to do what's best for you. And for people, just getting into a home, it doesn't have to be a rental, it doesn't have to be other stuff, but for you to live into. And then, you know, that's your first step. And then you figure out from there. Get your first one and then figure out from there. You're different. You're a real estate agent. You can write off interest differently than other people because you have a real estate license. So it makes sense for you to buy rentals, right? Where some other people are like, well, I don't really. No, get your first house, then go from there, right? Because you might turn that into a rental as you buy your next house to actually live in. Because usually your first house isn't your forever home.
Right.
It's your first home.
Yeah, I always tell people the first house is the stepping stone, you know, and it launches you. Like that's the thing is, you know, realistically, the benefits that come from it afterwards, people don't realize just how much, and even just after a year, you know, building your equity and just all of the doors that get open from being a homeowner, it's a, you know, it helps and it feels good. You know, you have comfort, you have security, and I tell people you have a piggy bank, you know, and it's the roof over your head.
Right.
It's you know, it serves many purposes, and you know, people just need to. I think it's just it's like a mindset thing too, right?
Yep, I think so. All right. Anything else you want to say before we go?
No.
And I think you said it all right there. That stop waiting. Figure out if it's a good time for you to buy and just buy. You can always refinance later. But I don't think we're going to see prices like this where we're at right now, where there's somebody helping you again for a very long time. And so I think that the first part of next year, we're going to see rates come down because we're really going to be in a recession. And then everybody's going to go, what? Rates are 5 now or 4? Okay, I'm going to come back in. Yeah. Right. And then that's where people are not going to be able to get their houses. They're going to write over. They're going to have to give more money. And they didn't listen to us. So listen to us. If you want to buy, do it now. Reach out to Francisco or myself, and we'll get you through starting the process. And Francisco, thank you so much for coming in today to talk about this.
Thank you.
Anytime. It's a pleasure having you on when you come in. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. If you like what we do here, just subscribe.